Welcome everyone to the Begin Anywhere podcast. This is your host, Hey Autumn, and today we have Geoff Simons with us. He is a film writer and director in the area. Say hello to everyone.
Hello to everyone.
So we're going to deep dive into things that he has going on, how he got started, and just try to pick his brain and how he feels about COVID, how he feels about movies and stuff coming out, and this thing, this, that, and the third. I don't know. So, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself. Something. Start with a fun fact.
Fun fact. Well, a lot of people, when they see my name, they get very confused. And when I was growing up, they would say like Gregory Simmons
There's
or Joffrey Simmons. No, yeah, they would add the R. That's what they like to do that for some reason. Because the G and the E and the O, just the O is what really fucks everybody up.
Right.
It for some reason just throws a monkey wrench into their brain and they suddenly can't see like, oh, it's just Geoff. It's just spelled that way.
Where'd the name come from?
The origin of the spelling is, I think it's British. It's some sort of European. I want to say it's British. And for a long time when I was a kid, I kept thinking to myself, when I'm older, I'm going to change my name to Geoff. That way nobody will get it wrong ever again. And eventually I came to take pride in my name and just be like, yeah, I'm the superior Geoff. All other Geoffs are below me. If they don't have a G and an E and an O in that bitch, they're not better than me.
Definitely the first time I've seen the spelling, and I don't know if I tried to say it the first time. I think I tried to listen around to see if someone else can say it because I have one of those names, like Birdie is my real name, and I would get Bernadette, I would get Bernice, I would get Bernice. I'm like, where's the V coming from?
Right.
I'm like, this is like elementary school giving me a certificate with my name wrong, but I'm like, how? I'm not in your system with the wrong name. So why? The yearbook has my name right, but the certificate of honors says like Bernice Monk. And I'm just like, this is crazy. But
that.
So I definitely understand.
Yeah. So my name and people getting my name correct, like wrong, is a pet peeve of mine. And I will often correct somebody like right away if they don't get my name right in any shape.
But why is it a pet peeve if people are not like used to seeing it or?
I don't know. It's just something where somebody will say, Mr. Simmons, it's Simons. It's Simons. Or they'll say my name, Joffrey, it's Geoff.
Are you named after someone?
No.
So they just like picked it out of a balloon?
Well, originally my mom wanted me to be Junior, and my dad didn't want that. He wanted me to stand on my own 2 feet outside
Have
of
your own identity, yeah.
Exactly. And, I appreciate him for that. And for a while, I was... Hang on, let me just collect my thoughts here. Yeah, a while back, not a while back, just a few years ago, I was dating somebody who, for some reason, I still don't remember why. I have a terrible memory. That's a fun fact. An ex of mine suggested that I should have a stage name.
Okay.
And
I'm guessing this is a long time ago?
A few years ago. They suggested that I have a stage name, and again, I don't remember why, but I think it had something to do with like an ego kind of thing or something like that, just then so you can have a private life, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just like, I have a pretty private life. My internet presence is, you could kind of parse through it and kind of get an idea of what's going on in my life, but I don't use any of my social media accounts as a diary. For the most part, I shit post. I spend a lot of time doing that just because my process for creating things tends to be fairly long, and that's because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Uh, but after me and this ex broke up, I decided, yeah, no, fuck that. My name is
What was
Geoff.
the potential stage name though?
What did we
Like, I'm so excited to hear this.
end up coming up with? There was a lot of shit that I was just like, no, not that, no, not that. But I think one I do remember. It was okay. So the first name is French.
French, okay.
So do you know the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Okay,
As most of y'all, some of y'all, I don't watch a lot of.
So the director of that movie, his name is Michel Gondry, and his name is spelled Michel.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with Michelle Moon.
Ooh. I don't know why Taylor Moon just jumped into my head, but Taylor Moon.
I don't know.
Sailor Moon.
Sailor. You said Taylor Moon.
But it jumped into my head.
Interesting. But her name is Taylor now, so everybody who's listening, whenever you see Sailor Moon, you must refer to it as Taylor.
Taylor Moon, the black version.
Yeah, Taylor Moon. Oh my god. Yeah, and then we broke up, and it was just like, yeah, no, I can go by my government name and still have a private life because I do.
You're a pretty private person.
My name is Geoff.
So when did you get into writing?
Wow. I think a long time ago. When did I get into writing in general, or when did I get into specifically writing films?
Well, let's do general because I want to hear the process of how you got into films. Like, were you like a short story type of person? Or did you think that you were going to like do books or poetry or something?
I started off wanting to make comics. I started off wanting to write and draw comics. When I was growing up, I started drawing when I was like 2, because I was bored in church and my mom was like, here. She gave me a pencil and a piece of paper, and I just started drawing from there. And from that point on, for my first few years of life, I was known as the kid who drew. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that I ever read before I could read was a comic book. I was in my uncle's house, and he had a bunch of comics just lying around all his office. And I wanted to read some of this stuff. It's just like, 4-color stuff with like goofy things happening in it. I'm like 2 or 3 years old. I'm like, what is this? Gimme. So he would actually let me take out a comic out of like the slipcover.
Oh, wow.
Read it.
That's trust.
Yeah. And toddler Geoff did not rip nothing up. I actually I couldn't read at this time, mind you, but I was looking through the shit like, whoa. So I've been reading comics since that age, and I was really into Batman and Spider-Man and a bunch of all that shit, Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make my own comics. So I started like coming up with stories. I remember this one art summer camp I went to when I was like 7. I wrote my first comic. I drew all the panels and all the words and stuff, and I stapled it together, and it was a readable comic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Were you able to draw it out too, or was this mostly?
Yeah, I drew it. I drew it all myself because that's what I wanted to do for the longest time. I never thought that I would be able to make movies. It seemed like something that I would never be able to do a little black boy from Southeast DC. What? That's yeah, right. And then I don't know, something. It was a little trickle of something when I was about 12, and for a class we had to make a video or something, or the idea. One of my friends, we made a video together for a computer class, and he would always talk about wanting to make movies, and it was just like, huh, maybe, yeah, maybe this is something I could do.
Right.
And then a few years later, I see this movie, Clerks, which came out in '94, directed by Kevin Smith, and it was just about people just hanging out at their job in a convenience store, slacking off, doing dumb shit. And I was like, oh my God, I can do this. And I started writing that summer. I was like 15 when I started officially writing movies and coming up with movie ideas, and started reading scripts, uh, studying script format.
What high school were you in?
That's another lengthy story. I went to the school in Southeast DC from pre-K 4 to 10th grade, because it only went up to 10th grade. It's in Southeast DC, called DuPont Park Seventh-day Adventist School. And that's where I was there. It was in that one of those classes where it was just like, okay, I'm making this video. I was in 7th grade when that happened, and then like 2 or 3 years later, I'm like, ooh, I do want to make movies. So I made the transition from there, where I was just like, I'm watching this, I'm watching that, I'm watching this and that and this and that to study and understand directing and how to do this thing. What even does the director do? So I think for years, because I watched a shit ton of movies my entire life up to that point. And around that time when DVD started kicking around, I started getting into watching behind the scenes stuff. That was a thing, before I wanted to make movies, I was interested in the making of movies and how it was done. Who's doing this? Why is that happening? How does this happening? Understanding the math of cinema, right?
Right.
So like I said, 15, start writing scripts. My early stuff was basically a mix of Clerks and the Boondocks. It's Clerks with niggas. And I watched anything and everything. I would watch the most obscure thing I could find and see. And eventually, once I got to college,
What college you ended up going to?
I went to this other parochial school called Southern Adventist University. They had a film program. I had the choice between going there or going to Oakwood, which, far as I knew, didn't really have a film program in the same capacity that Southern did.
Right.
So I chose Southern, which was a white school. Oakwood is a black school.
Is that in DC?
What?
Those schools. Where are those schools at?
Oh, Oakwood is in Huntsville, Alabama. Southern is in Tennessee. It's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but it's in its own little bubble town called Collegedale. It's the side of Chattanooga. So I made this other video for high school around that time when I moved to Tennessee, because I finished out high school in Tennessee.
Okay.
I made a video for a class in there. It's not very good, of course.
You still have it?
No, thank God. No idea where it is. Either of the couple of things that I made around that time. So then in 2011, I got the chance to direct my first short film, which is available to watch. It's called Sound Off, and fucking work. Excuse me. It's called Sound Off, and it's about What is it about? It's about this guy who moves into a new apartment and his neighbor is playing like music loudly. They're playing like a bass guitar really loudly.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of the film, the producer of the film came up with the idea, and then I wrote the script based on his idea, and I directed it. I also acted in a small role in it as like the main character's like best friend. Uh, it was a pretty smooth shoot. The only problem that I ran into was in post production, nobody wanted to edit the thing.
Yeah, I hate editing.
Well, I didn't really know anything about editing at that time. I hadn't done it much at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I had to do it myself. And that's when I learned how important editing is and how fun it can be. It is a very tedious process, mind you, but it is a very, I would say, rewarding process because I get to touch the film in pre-production. I get to touch the film in production, and then I get to put the final touch on it in post-production. And from that point on, I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do forever. I'm going to edit my own films because nobody else can fuck this up. I mean, of course, there are moments like recently. I've been trying to work with another editor on a film that I shot, that I partially shot in 2016. I made an attempt to shoot a feature in 2016, and a litany of issues led to the production being shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still have the footage, and I'm trying to turn it into something. And I think it could be a short film, but I just have to excise a lot of shit, basically. Not to say that the work done in it is bad. It's just a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there, and it just leads to nothing. It's just a lot of fat.
So at this point, for 2016, have you chosen your genre of movies yet? What was that process like?
I don't necessarily. There are directors who only make, one or two kinds of movies, but I have an idea for just about every genre.
Okay.
Just about every genre. I guess mostly what I write are comedies. I don't write the kind of comedies that you mostly see and have seen in the last decade. Like, comedy is mostly living on television right now. It's mostly sitcoms, or comedy dramas. Most of the comedies that you see nowadays that are in theaters are very boring. Yeah.
It's just too much. It's just too much. It's
feature
just
characters. They're really raunchy for no goddamn reason.
Yes.
They feature a whole lot of sorry, that was work. They feature a whole lot of pop culture references. I absolutely hate pop culture references in movies. Now, I've grown to hate those. I've grown to hate needle drops too. And what I mean by needle drops, I mean...
I don't know what that is.
Okay, a needle drop is basically, all right, we're going to play this song that everybody knows. It's a pop song. Whenever, like, pre-existing music is used in a movie.
Right.
The last few years, people have been overdoing that. Not just the last few years. It's been done a lot. There are directors who know how to use music like that.
Right.
Pre-existing music. But so many of these people so many of these new directors do not understand how to do it well. And
when you say like well as in we don't know, or well as in it fits the scene, like what do you mean?
There's a way to use there's a way you can put almost any kind of music in a scene, but it will make it, oh, this is obvious. You're using this in a very obvious way. Like, this song could, So have you seen any war movie?
Any war movie?
A war film, like a,
Sure. Yeah.
shoot, bang, bang, explosion. They
Mm-hmm.
are poor
Yeah.
natives of whatever country getting murdered by U.S. military, etc. Things like
Yeah.
that. There's one song that you will always hear in just one of these lower rung, really bad war movies. Do you remember? It ain't me. It ain't me.
Well,
Everybody knows that.
I forgot you can sing and hold a note, so that was
Oh, yeah.
shockingly surprising.
Oh, sorry.
Two, I feel like I know what song you're talking about, but I feel like that's like a like a
As soon as you hear it, you know exactly.
yeah, but they put that in like older movies. They haven't used that.
It's been done in older movies, but it's done in a lot of newer movies too.
Mm.
It's just a shortcut for, damn, ain't war hell. Music, movies,
So at this point now, what is the genre that you're focusing on now? Like, what are the type of stuff that you've been writing as of late?
Mostly, like I said, comedies. I guess my focus right now is on comedy. I started work on this comedy earlier this year, got stuck, started up on another one, decided I wasn't interested in that story anymore. And I've recently been working on a musical that is, also a comedy. So I guess comedy is my genre. But I really want to make an action movie. I really want to make like a detective movie.
Ooh.
Of course, I want to do some. I have this idea for like a sci-fi movie, of course, but that's much further down the line.
So we met a couple years ago. I don't know what
just
year.
1 year ago. We've only known each other for about a year now.
No, it's been longer than that.
Has it?
Yes, it's been way longer than that. I feel like I can pull up the music video that we worked on.
That came out last year, sweetie.
Really?
Yeah. But I know it can feel like you've known me a while.
I'm sure. I feel like it was a lot longer than that. But you know what? I'm here to take your word for it. But my point is, you had shown me some of your. I forgot what name you put on it. Was it like abstract visuals or something like that? Like it wasn't like silent films, but it wasn't like.
I consider that stuff. So I do have an interest in video art or video installations where they're not necessarily narrative films, like with a traditional story. It could be just an idea. It could be about an idea of something. So I made this piece of video art for Black History Month show back in 2016. It was a very quick and dirty shoot. I used some classical music in the background, some like Brahms or something like that. And I called it Black Laugh. And that is available. And I'll give you
the links for everything.
Yeah. And that was, what is that about? What I wanted to do, I wanted to shoot Black people in gentrified spaces in DC, laughing. And that's all I had in mind up to the shoot. I did not know what I knew I was going to have like a narrator speaking. It was going to be like some sort of speech. I didn't know what the narrator was going to sound like, but I knew I was going to use the usual, like a robot voice or a computer voice that you can just have your whatever Apple computer you have, record. And the final product was very unsettling to me and exciting. And when it played in front of the mostly white audience, it was a very interesting experience seeing some of the looks on some of their faces.
Yeah,
Some,
because even I was just like,
yeah, some
I
folks.
liked it. I liked it.
Mhm.
But you said you wanted me to see it without explaining it to me. And then, which most things, you either try to get a preview or you kind of read something on it. But
Yeah.
it was definitely interesting. I think it was like at least 5 people just laughing in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, I feel like you still have to kind of explain it to me because it was a feeling that I got, but I also didn't know that the areas were gentrified either because there weren't too many people in the background for me to know that they were like,
Yeah. The
white
other thing,
Mexican.
the problem was I shot it in February, one of the coldest months in DC. So of course there's not going to be a whole lot of people. And it's the middle of the day too.
Yeah.
Uh, but I shot in Chinatown. I shot in Adams Morgan. I shot in DuPont Circle.
So would you do it again?
Would I do that again? No.
Yeah.
Probably.
So it's like with projects, is it just one and done? Or would you ever go back to make it like better or just maybe a series or something? Because you had other what do you call them?
Video installations.
Video installations, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I like that name too. You had others. I think it was one with a guy and a girl. They're like sitting on the bed. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
without something or.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't necessarily revisit those because those came at a specific point in time in my life where I had this idea and I wanted to express this idea. If I want to revisit something like that, it wouldn't look like either of those things.
Right.
Because you're constantly growing and changing as you, well, hopefully you're constantly growing and changing as you go. And I'm pretty sure I've grown and changed since those two. Since those two projects. And like I said, sometimes my process is slow. Life gets in the way.
Right.
And that could mean a litany of things. So recently, and there's another thing that I showed you. It was a short film that I shot in 2015 that I've been sitting on for a while. It's been needing like sound design. It's needed music. And
Well, wait. What's sound design and the difference between sound design and music for some of us or some of them who don't know?
So you're right. So sound design, meaning things like a door closing and opening.
That's what I pictured, but like
somebody on the phone and you hear the phone conversation at the same time as the person on the phone. It's things like that.
Right.
That needed to be done and buttoned up. And I have to eventually reach out to the producer of that and apologize for taking so long on completing this because I didn't want to hand control over to her. But yeah, recently I did a slight re-edit of that film. The film I showed you, Fireworks, which you said you didn't like.
That's the one. That's the one with the guy and the girl, right?
That's the other one with the guy.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you described the other video art piece.
Oh, the other one with the guy and the girl, and they were in the kitchen or something. And they was eating breakfast or something like that too.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the concept and how it looked, cinematically. I personally didn't like the chemistry between the two actors.
And I think that'll come off better once because you were watching it in an uncompleted state.
Okay.
So I think it'll come off better once you see it with music, the finished music. You see it with the sound design, and the new cut that I did as well. I think it'll come, at the least it'll come off better. It's not that like the chemistry between the two actors has changed. It has not. Believe you me. But I am in conversation with the sound designer and the composer on where to go from here. And I am going to be looking into ways to, I don't know, release this. I might just put it out, just throw it on my YouTube and throw it at the two actors and say, hey, look, I did it. I finally finished. I'm sure everybody who I have ever worked with between the projects and this project that I'm just mentioning now and from 2015 and then the project in 2016, I'm sure all of those people don't want to hear shit from me right now because it has been so long. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that a nigga been broke. So like I was broke for 2 whole years. I was unemployed for like 2 whole years, just working on different freelance stuff, working on different scripts, trying to get those 2 projects off and finished as well. But
do you think that's been like the hardest part of everything? Like, I mean, obviously funding is a problem and an issue and a necessity for all things of life. I know I've been stopped with creating. I've done 3 fully put together editorial shoots, getting the models, the makeup artists, the hairstylists, the wardrobe stylists, paying for the locations, buying clothes, all this other stuff to get published, and then not even having the money to publish anything, like to send it off to get published. So I just wasted all that money putting the creativity together, but we can't even afford to get it edited. We can't even afford to send it out. They don't want the raws. They need to see some type of a finished product, to the point where I've even lost the SD card and had to go and do the whole shoot again. And I can show you those pictures where you can tell that one was on one day and one was on another day because eventually I found the card, but the makeup's totally different. Like we didn't just change this in one day. And then
you can't replicate what you don't know, right? Especially if you lost the thing and then it comes back. It's like, oh, what about this contour on the face like that? And it's just,
we've already, you know. So I definitely understand the funding. I think that has stopped me in my growth as a creator. Do you think there's something that, you know, stopped you in your process?
Absolutely. I tried to submit the short film that I showed you that you didn't like. I tried to submit that.
Stop saying it like
well, I'm stating facts here, baby. That's all.
okay.
I submitted it to a festival, but it was not accepted because I was running into and then there's technical issues. I am so ready to move away from Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, for those who do not know. That's what I've been cutting in for the last 10 years or so, something like that. And it has mostly been a thorn in my side. Earlier this year, I started learning DaVinci Resolve, and that's been pretty good. I haven't cut in it since February, but for work, I mostly use Premiere because that's what has been provided to me. So, you know, I get to have a fist fight with Premiere every day. But what happened? I exported the thing thinking, okay, it sounds good. It looks good. I'm happy. I submit the motherfucker. I get a message back from the reviewers saying, oh, this is very experimental. Is there not supposed to be any dialogue after the first 30 seconds? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, please let me resubmit. So I resubmit the correct version. This is one thing that I fucked myself because I didn't watch through the thing that I submitted to see that there was an issue with the audio cutting out of nowhere. So that was on me. The second time I submitted, it was perfect. I looked through it. I watched it twice just to be sure. No, I think I watched it 4 times. I uploaded it to them. And then I get the feedback from the judges. They didn't watch the resubmission. They watched the first submission with the technical problems.
Why would they even let you resubmit if they're not gonna watch the?
That's what I'm saying. And the festival that did this, by the way, was DC Shorts. That's right. I'm putting them on blast. DC Shorts International or International DC International. I don't remember what the name of the thing is called.
Jesus, but your own hometown.
DC Shorts rejected a DC filmmaker. I'm not really mad about it though.
But
I did that. I think I submitted it in 2016, something like that. I don't remember when I submitted anymore.
Maybe so where did most of your inspiration like come from?
Wow. A lot of different places. I can't really pinpoint this movie or that movie. I mean, I did say earlier that Clerks was the movie that made me want to make movies. Mm-hmm. But as I've grown older, I don't really watch Clerks or even think about it until I think, oh yeah, that's the movie that inspired me to make movies. But I don't really need to watch that movie ever again. Mm-hmm. Because now I watch it now and think, yeah, I still feel like if this shit can get made, I have no excuse. But I kind of still do have an excuse because it is a very difficult thing to make a movie. No movie wants to get made. You have to will it into existence.
Okay.
And so what that means is you have to make sure that this part of the house is built and that this part of the house has a couch and this part of the house has, a shower and this part of the house has a sink. Mm-hmm. And then the house needs a door. This is a very terrible metaphor that I've just been.
But it's a tedious process. You know what I'm saying? Basically what you're saying. Basically what I gather.
It's an incredibly tedious process, but film is a collaborative art. It's a combination of all of the arts: photography, music, design, costume, fashion. It's all of those things, performance, all of those things meshed together to create a beautiful experience. I love cinema. I will always love it. I'll love it to the day I die. I'm also a musician. I wanted to do both at one point. And in recent times, like the last year and a half or so, I've realized that trying to pursue both has been detrimental to both. So my focus is film. I still make a little bit of music here and there. I do it mostly on the side, and I haven't released anything in, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years.
So as far as music, what do you do? Sing, rap, produce?
I sing. I can produce. I'm not really much of a producer. I, write my own music and songs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I've even composed music for other people's films, mostly short films. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually going to be possibly composing music for somebody else soon. A very close friend of mine who shot a short film a few years back, and we were looking at it recently, and I was like, hey, I got something in my brain for this. Let me tool around with it. I still have to.
But you're also a creative director. You've done music videos. And
Yeah. It's funny. The person I actually started off making music videos for it was aerospace. We made
Right.
the first. I made his first music video in 2011 for a song called Demons. I forget the album that came from, but I made that for him. I made this.
Is that like, before you keep going,
Mhm.
is creative director, um, is that like different than like a film director?
Well, a creative. I don't refer to myself as a creative director. I'm just a director.
Okay.
And you can be a film director, commercial director, music video director. Director can do all of those things. It's just
Right.
a director is just the person who says, "No, I don't want that. Yes, do that." Okay. What you just did in this scene, I don't want you to do that, but I would like for you to say it this way. Okay. All right, action. That's like a director is a communicator.
Mm.
He's he or she is, expressing themselves through an idea, and they're working with a litany of other artists to figure out how to make this thing work, whether it is a music video, whether it is a commercial, whether it is a short or a feature film.
Do you like doing music videos?
I like doing music videos because it's a fun space for me to just experiment, just try different things. That's what I used it for years, was just, okay, how can I make this interesting with nothing? I have no money. I have no equipment. I don't have any lights, but there's this cool location, and I do have a tripod, and I have this artist. What can I do with what's available to me? And those experiences of just shooting with nothing forced me to think on my feet, well, know how to think on my feet,
Right.
and how to create something interesting with very little. And there's other music videos that I've done for other people that aren't as widely seen, but I think they're interesting. I think they're something, and there's something to pull from these things, because I'm not really a fan of how so many. It's great that cameras are so readily available to everybody, like
Right.
everybody can just shoot anything. But the double-edged sword is anybody and everybody can shoot anything. And so often people who make stuff just, it looks good, let's do that and shoot it, and just that's that. I'm I can't work like that. I want something more, even if it's very simple. I would like, even if I'm just focusing on even if I'm just focusing on this performance in this music video, then I want to find a way to shoot it in a way that not necessarily hasn't been done before, but it'll just bring something more to the table than just,
Right.
here's a rapper and he's rapping in front of a crowd of people and he's posing and he's happy, or he's hard, or et cetera, et cetera. Like whenever I do something, especially with aerospace, I always try to bring something new to the table. I try to do something with him that we have not tried before, something that we haven't tried before.
What is that noise?
That's my outlook. I'm starting over. That way the editor has an easier time to like cut out all that fucking noise.
Okay.
And sorry about that. But they just love sending me emails after work, and it really frustrates me. But anywho, what was I saying? All right. God damn it.
Is there a mute for that?
I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, okay. We can take a break.
Okay. Hopefully that will do it. Okay. I'm so sorry to your editor. I am so sorry to your editor. Now, continue. Aerospace, stuff I've done for him. I always try to do something different every time I work with him. I try to shoot it differently. I try to say, okay, what if the whole video is just panning around and then you just show up for a hot second in the shot and that's it. And then we cut to another shot where that happens again, where I pan around and you show up in the frame for like 2 seconds and that's it.
Right.
And just constantly do that for the whole video. And he's like, I don't know about that. And then I shoot it and he's like, I still don't know about it. Let's try something else. Can you just do this? And I'm just like, no. So I think I've done like 4 or 5 videos for him over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all mostly available. And you were on the shoot for
one of them songs.
Yeah. What next?
I don't know. I just know we were at a park and it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel like
we had a smoke bomb.
Yeah. The smoke
I had
bomb.
to drive all the way home to go get the smoke bombs to come back because.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I didn't originally have them. He wanted to use like a fogger or something, but the battery something died, and so I was like, "Well, I have smoke bombs in the house. I can go get them." And I live like 20 minutes down the street, so I went and got them, and I came back.
Not too bad, I guess. Originally I was not directing that day. I was planning on not being there for the entire day. I walked there. I was like, all right, I'm going to be here for like, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to dip because I don't feel like being around people right now. I just wanted to support him for a hot second and say, what's up, man?
But you walked on like you were in charge, so I don't understand that mentality of only staying for an hour.
Because I saw what was going to happen, and I was like, these folks are going to be out here all day long. So let me go ahead and take this joint on over and see if I can squeeze some lemonade out of this joint.
So has COVID affected your work at all? It's probably giving you like more time to like, I guess, isolate, be creative, write.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of this time writing and studying and things of that nature, and I'm still in contact with one of my main collaborators, my cinematographer. His name is Shrikant Nandigama. I met him through a friend. I was acting on a short film for one of my best friends, and Shri was on set, and I really loved his work ethic. And I was like, I think we would work well together. And we did work well together, and we've been working together for 5 years. So every time I'm ready to shoot something, I hit up Shri, and it's like, all right, dude, let's get together. It's time to go to work. And it's a wonderful, we have a wonderful working relationship, and of course a friendship as well, because we both love film, and the kind of films that we love are very similar. The kind of films that we want to make are, we're of accord. He generally loves the stuff that I write and is always excited to get into work on them.
Oh, that's super dope.
Yeah. And he usually gives me very excellent feedback on what works and what doesn't. And when we do get together to discuss working on a film and what we want to do visually, we are usually of one accord. We usually come to the exact same conclusion for a film. Go ahead.
What do you think the hardest part about living in this area and being a director is?
DC doesn't really understand film. And what I mean by that is, I'm basing this on my experience from 2016 when we were trying to shoot stuff. It's unfamiliar to DC. I don't really know how to articulate this.
I know we're not a cinematography town. We don't have an actual
DC,
Cinematography Union. That's Baltimore that has
the film union,
the
yeah.
film union. We
DC
do
DC is a documentary town mostly.
right.
It's a documentary town. That's what DC is used to. Narratives are whenever a big film comes around here, it's usually associated with some political thriller or something of that nature. But DC is more than just the government. DC is music. DC has much more culture than what we see represented in like any sort of Hollywood or whatever. DC has like sports, like basketball. A lot of basketball players that everybody loves comes from here, comes from this area. I don't remember any names, of course. Kevin Durant, you know.
Sure.
Uh,
That's not my realm. Sports is not my.
it's not necessarily mine either, but
It's not my realm. I think one thing that's interesting about DC, in the aspect of movies and things of that nature, is it's hard. I mean, have you needed a drone at all? Like, it's hard to get those day permits, to get certain shots, to get certain.
they do not like they do not like anything being up in the sky. They have very strict rules about that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think with just like the restrictions that artists face sometimes, and there's not that many creative spaces. Like, we have a few studios and stuff in this area for people to shoot film. We don't have a lot of like warehouses for people to go in, and like it is a sedity area, so like renting that Airbnb just to shoot a few scenes is like, oh my gosh, I'm paying more for the spot than I am to pay the people to be here. Like, so I think it makes
that's definitely something I've run into, and we have used an Airbnb before to use a location, and it was just dumb expensive.
Yeah,
it makes no sense, and I guess that's what it is about DC. It's hard to do film here because so many of the things that you would need, they're very hostile towards you shooting. Even getting a permit is difficult.
right.
I haven't really tried. So usually I will go for something very guerrilla in my way of filming things. Something that's not necessarily obstructive, but something that's not necessarily legal either. Not that I break the law all the time, mind you.
Hey, I've definitely snuck on some locations just to get a shot.
Yeah.
Just to see if like there's an area by my house, and I'm just waiting for the perfect time to kind of like sneak on location to see who owns it. Like, I feel like the day I go on there, someone's gonna come to me that I can finally ask them who owns this and if I can rent it out. But like the way that gate is, I don't even know how to sneak on, and I can't see the other side of the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Large piece of land to be like, all right, there's a house there, I can go ask, like, who does this belong to? You find a lot of that. Well, that's mostly in Maryland. DC doesn't have a lot of grass, but just trying to figure out who owns what, how can you rent it, who do you talk to, what are the going prices. They're not, it's like if you're not already established, they don't want to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, it's like you have to, and this is a thing especially that I've noticed with musicians, and when I was a more serious musician, we felt like we had to get on somewhere else for DC to accept you.
Yeah.
And that's really, it hurts. That hurts to have your whole town be like, man, nigga, you ain't shit. What?
Right.
Until somebody else says, oh yeah, that's my nigga. He's from I know him. Yeah.
Oh, I seen him before. I went to one of his shows.
Yeah, like, that's my nigga though.
I don't understand why that's why DC is so hesitant to really come together as a creative area. Baltimore's doing it. I mean, Baltimore don't have a lot of artists out there as far as like musicians and stuff like that. I mean, they do, but like even in their even in their creative district where it's just like there's photographers out there, there's models out there, there's hairstylists, there's a lot of painters and stuff that's out there, so many people that are working, and it's like all you do is come 40 minutes down the road into DC, and it's like you can't find nobody to help you. And if you see somebody, they want bread off bucks, and it's like, okay, your stuff is good, it's not that good, like let's work together, like let's bring this
Yeah,
price down a little bit.
there is a lot of ego involved, and I admit to having a little bit of ego myself. But this is, like I said earlier, film is a collaborative art, so I I I am going to be looking to working with people. Like the last year or so, I've been trying to find some production designers or set designers.
Well, I can do set design, we can talk about that later.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that saves me a whole search. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I want to come back to what you were saying about the limitations that artists in DC have. I actually think that that's a blessing because it'll force us to find a way around that restriction to create something interesting, to create something great.
Right.
Because that's something that a lot of old Hollywood artists did back in like the 30s and the 40s because of a thing called the Hays Code. It was a very restrictive set of rules. Like you couldn't use this foul language, you couldn't refer to sex, you couldn't do this, that, and the third. But filmmakers found a way to refer to those things in a very clever way.
Right.
It was obvious.
Windows.
They had a lot of, yeah, there was a lot of that kind of ingenuity that was happening. So to those restrictions, I say we just need to bring some ingenuity to the table.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I get that. I totally understand in the sense finessing the situation and
Yeah.
making it work. But I also think we can use a little bit more wiggle room. Like you can't tell that we're turning into another art district where we need certain spaces to be creative, where we need certain areas where we can film at and not get kicked off because people think we're jaywalking or something like that, like, or to make it easier to get like permits, like, yo, let me get like 4 hours at this location, you know what I'm saying, or
Well,
let me
if I could interrupt you right quick, I'm sorry. There are some places that are open to you filming in their space, like locally owned spaces. I think what it is building relationships with people.
Right.
And for example, on the 2016 project, I was able to film in one of my favorite places in the city, Calabash. They allowed me to film. I have a relationship with the owner, Dr. Sunyata Amen. Shout outs to her. She let me just film in her place. She gave me carte blanche. The only issue I ran into was their AC kept running. So that was a fun thing. I still have to figure out how I'm going to use that scene. But it's probably not that bad. I think we were in between. It's neither here nor there.
Right.
It's about you got to develop relationships with the people in your
city. Yeah.
But then then we come back to the problem of gentrification, where there are people who are, not from the city, who are hostile to people like that, where it's just like, oh, I don't want this shitty little kid coming in here and breaking my stuff because I don't know them.
It's a tough environment. The sad thing is DC is not even one of them places where like, well, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, because we don't even get that much credit on the map to even have that type of sentiment. So it's like you'll have to still leave regardless. At some point in your career, you're going to have to leave DC.
Well, one of my goals is to turn DC into a film town. And what I mean by that is with my productions, I'm going to need crew. And once I get, you know, funding from some angel investor who may see something of mine and say, "Hey, I got what else you got?" And then I'll be like, "Well, I got this script, I got this script, I got this script, and I'm ready to go. I just need the money so I can hire a crew."
Right.
This is what I've been thinking about. You hire people, local people, then you create an ecosystem, and you can start. It'll start an avalanche of other people like, "Oh, I want to shoot here too because I've seen the way these guys work. They do great work here, and there's some great locations here. This is a beautiful city. We have a lot of different looks and areas in this area. I don't know how to talk."
I get what you mean. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful area, you know. PG Maryland is a beautiful area too. You know, I don't
yeah,
spend too much time in other parts of Maryland. Sometimes I hit up like Silver Spring or
occasionally.
occasionally. Like I kind of got everything I need right here. I don't need to really
Yeah,
keep going
yeah.
anywhere else for
Mm-hmm.
the most part. But I would love to see the DMV. I don't really need Virginia to give me much, but I would love to see DC and Maryland just embrace um film. We don't get a lot of movies and stuff shot here, commercials and stuff shot here. I would love for them to be able, because that's work, you know what I'm saying? I love set design. I love
Yeah.
lighting for TV and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
like lighting is one of my deepest passions. So to be able to do that and like to be like, okay, well, I just shot this series and I did all the lighting for it, or I designed all the lighting and set design for it and stuff like that. Like, that stuff is cool, but we don't have that many opportunities here. So it'll be dope if someone was to start or house a production company like that to even just give smaller local writers and directors a chance to get their stuff done. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, me and my best friend Jumi Olowofieku, he's also a film director and musician. We have been working on building just that. Of course,
dope.
this is a very slow process, but like I was saying before, where we want to make this a film town. This is what we're working on as part of that.
Okay. That'll be super dope. I'm excited to hear what you got going with that.
Yep.
Trying to think, is there
The saying "if you build it, they will come" is true. So we just gotta build it. It's going. Rome wasn't built in a day, but these
let
folks
me
gonna
tell you
come once they see it.
I'm working on some really cool projects and working on getting my own space and making sure that we have not only just like events, but a bunch of things to give to the community inside of this space, you know, to at least another safe haven for us to be creative. Like we can film in it, we can do pop up shops, we can do photography, we can do galleries and stuff like that. Like, so, but you have to create the space for people to want, like you said, for people to come. And so I do think that the future of the DMV art district, that's what I want to call it, is bright. I do think there's a lot of people that are officially stepping up and taking it seriously, moving in different groups and in different avenues just to make sure that we have certain things and certain rights and certain insurances and stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
so I'm excited for the future. I'm just not one to like. I don't want to wait too long. I don't want to be in my 40s and then we finally get it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm like, okay, 32 maybe, because I'm 28 now. So maybe 3 or 4 years we got some stuff popping off.
I'm a few weeks from 30.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, when's your birthday?
January 2nd.
Okay, I'm January 12th, but it's all good in the hood.
Yeah.
I'm a little better, just a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I like getting older. I relish it. It's fun.
I wouldn't say that I'm relishing it. I would love to do 28 over because I spent most of it in the house
Well, that's not that through no fault of your own, mind you.
through no fault of my own. But I don't think I lived my full potential of 28. So I might be turning
Nobody did.
28
It's
again next year.
I think one thing we all have to do is cut ourselves some slack. It's a pandemic. We don't need to be going nowhere. We don't need to be doing nothing. We need to be staying up in the house and staying safe. Watch movies at home. We don't need to be up in the theater trying to getting sick, possibly. Go home. Stay home. Watch
So
movies
when
at home.
you watch movies now, do you like, can you watch them as a viewer or are you in like the director's chair watching
Oh
it?
no, man! I can watch a movie and enjoy it just the same. I can split my brain. I don't need. Everybody has this idea that you're a you're a director, so you can't watch movies. And watching movies isn't fun with you at all, is it? No, I watch.
No, it's not.
Huh?
You saying no, it's not fun with you at all?
I'm saying I reject that sentiment. That's what I'm saying. It's like I can have fun watching a movie. I can just watch a movie as a fan of movies because I have so many of them. I have this tower of movies. I'm going to show you, even though our listening audience won't be able to see, but you will. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not even half of the ones that I seen when I was at your house that day.
No, this is everything.
Really? Maybe
Mhm.
it's a little messy.
Mm-hmm. That was different because it was in a compressed space. It looked like it was more, but
Okay.
this is everything I have. But I can do both of those things. I can watch a movie and pick it apart, and I can watch it and just enjoy it, and then I'll pick it apart afterwards if I need to. But I don't like watching something and just not engaging with it because
Right.
the whole turn off your brain notion is really stupid to me. It's like you can't do that. You can't just turn off your brain. What are you consuming? What
Right.
are you taking in? Because everything has something going on in it. I don't care how dumb it is. I was just watching the Bill and Ted trilogy this past weekend. I watched all three of them jokers.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, they're very silly movies from the late 80s and 90s, and
Okay.
recently made one, and it came out this year. And it was the whole trilogy is so heartfelt, and there's also some deeper stuff going on underneath that I can get into. Not now, but you can find it anywhere.
Right.
And then there's other things. There are movies where there's absolutely nothing going on whatsoever. Shout outs to the Marvel movies.
Seriously? You don't like the Marvel movies?
I used to. I saw all of them up to the end game and was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to watch any of them again.
Well,
I
see,
feel like I got what I needed out of it, and I really wanted Thanos to win it all. I'm always here for the villain. I'm tired of like
something wrong with you, deeply.
why?
Continue.
I'm just tired of like the expected ending. We know that they gonna win. So when when they don't, that's a good movie for me. Like when the killer get away, or um, like even in Italian Job when they got away with all that stolen stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like in Oceans when it's like when the I don't know like when the superhero actually wins, it just pisses me off. Like I didn't pay for this. I didn't sneak into this movie for
You
this.
did, but you did.
No,
Did.
I wanted a hard fight.
Not everybody is you. Everybody is wanting. I want this to be really edgy now. I want everybody to just get killed because it would be different.
Right? That'd be a good movie.
The just cause it's different. That's I don't know.
Not necessarily because it's different, but because it's not expected. it's not expected for the villain to win. Because even when Thanos won, I can't remember the second to last movie. I was like, yes, yes, snap that finger, they gone. You know what I'm saying? That was
You said snap.
walked out of that jump feeling like, yeah.
You
But
said
when he died in the second, I was like, yo, come on now. No.
I don't care.
Superheroes ain't always supposed to win because that's life. There's no real heroes, but there's always a villain.
But so see, this is the problem. You're applying a real life thing to fantasy shit for kids. That shit is for kids.
Children. Those movies is not for children.
Well, that's doesn't matter. These are characters that were meant for children. Superheroes are for children. Yes, you can enjoy it as an adult. Yes, you can enjoy it as an old person. But at the end of the day, we all have to remember that these were simple moral stories for kids to understand. Hey, this is good and this is evil.
Yes, and so if I'm trying to teach a child that there's good and that there's evil, I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like good always wins, because sometimes you are going to get defeated and you got to just move on.
Well, that does happen in superhero stories.
Yeah, but all the way to the end. Thanos should have won all the way to the end.
Okay, well, I don't want to talk
the
about.
end.
I don't want to talk about the MCU anymore because there's nothing really to talk about.
Are you excited for the new Batman that's coming out?
Absolutely, yes.
Shut up. Are you really?
Yes. Yes, I am, because the director of that is very good. He made those last two Planet of the Apes movies that came out this past decade, and they're both amazing. I think about those movies pretty often. And what else did he make? He made Let Me In, which is a remake of a Swedish film. Is it Swedish?
You're asking the wrong person.
I know. I'm thinking to myself.
Oh.
I'm
like,
I don't know about that.
Let me Google it right now.
Bring it back to the real world.
I'm about to hear my nails typing like, is it?
But yeah, anyway, that's all. Yeah, I'm excited about that movie because it looks good, and that director has yet to make a bad movie to me.
Oh, that's good. I have one last question for you, and then we can go ahead and wrap this up because this has been beautiful. Someone that is an inspiring film director and writer, what advice would you give them in this day and age, COVID and forward?
Okay, you have the time now. Watch older films. Stop trying to say like, oh, it's just boring old people doing old people things and it's black and white. Watch that stuff. There's a lot of great things happening in those films. Technically, story-wise, and emotionally, just all of those things. You learn more from you learn more from studying like bad movies too. But you need to watch the old classic stuff. You need to watch stuff from the 30s. You need to watch stuff from the 40s. You need to watch silent films. If you can't tell a story without any dialogue, you're not worth your salt as a storyteller. So study that. Read a lot, not fiction and nonfiction, but good nonfiction. And I don't know how to tell you to find good nonfiction. I'm sorry, kids. But just read more. Read history, learn about your history. Another fun fact about me, I share a birthday with the very first Black American film director. His name was Oscar Micheaux. He was born on...
That Michelle name, or was it Michelle before?
Oscar Micheaux, M-I...
Oh.
I'll send it to you. But Oscar Micheaux, Micheaux. He was born on January 2nd, 1884. Most of his films, actually all of his films, were silent. Yeah. I share a birthday with him. So
I don't know who I share a birthday with, but I'm sure they're amazing.
I'm sure they are.
So thank you for taking this time out to talk to me, to talk to us, to give us your story and your insights. This was actually really fun. I think I've learned a lot more than I thought I was going to learn.
Good. I often feel like I don't really. I have that effect on people, but I'm glad that you got that out of me. Great.
We appreciate you. Can you let us know where people can find you and your work? We'll also, put the links and everything later.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have recently changed everything, especially just mostly my Instagram and my YouTube to Kill Geoff. That's KILL
I hate his Instagram name.
GEOFF. That was
Why is that your Instagram name? Why?
why. Well, it was still Geoff for a while, and that was a response to my ex who came up with the idea for me to have
Yes.
what's
Have
that?
an alias.
Yeah, have an alias. I was like, still Geoff, and then it was like, kill Geoff, because it was just like that's what I think my enemies, including this ex, would be thinking, because I'm still Geoff. Now I want to kill Geoff. I don't know. I thought it was funny.
No,
Yeah.
that is hilarious, but I definitely hate that name. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And stay tuned for more updates, more episodes. Make sure you follow the podcast. Hey Autumn. What am I saying?
I don't know.
I don't know. Make sure cut.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't even have an Instagram page for this. We're just trapping off my other business pages
True.
at this point. But guys, make sure you follow the Instagram autumns_EP for more updates. And thank you again. I don't have a clap track, but I'll clap for myself. I'll clap for you.
Woo!
Okay. All right. Tune in later.